Welcome to Getting to Know You. That is residents and staff at Stonebridge. I'm Ingrid Reed, the organizer, and together with Jock McFarland, the videographer, if I get that right, are the two people who are bringing you this program, which is a lovely retrospective of spring at Stonebridge, with a particular tribute to a landscape architect who nobody seems to know, who really designed what we appreciated in these last few weeks. So join us in a little tour around Stonebridge of things that we thought were remarkable and that we're grateful for. Spring at Stonebridge. Welcome to an appreciation of spring and all its glory here at Stonebridge. Jock McFarland and I decided to explore what many of us have admired, and also to admire probably how it was done. This entrance to the walk or exit from the building shows you that the architect and the landscape architect clearly worked together. The pillars of the portico match the wonderful LA on both sides of the entrance and exit road. And we're going to explore what's beyond that, and at a time when everything was in its glory. So here I am going down the road, walking in the road because the sidewalk is meant to take you to the parking lot. And the first thing we come to is what the landscape architect injected into the curve, which is a small grove of white crabapple trees. And here you get a close-up of it, and you will. It's really the introduction to what was planted in the circle of the landscape that is really field grown, natural. This is the one that was thought out, while we're grateful that the other landscape that surrounds us just happened, I guess. Here I am at the next stop, walking through the right-hand side, or the west side, of the crabapple alleys. And there are 8 planted on one side, and there's a little jewel jumping out from the natural forest. We don't know what it is because, quite frankly, Jock and I didn't know the names of anything really that we were looking at. But it is beautiful in its own way.
Okay, go.
Now we've approached what we've all been enjoying, the spectacular view of the crabapple grove from the road. You get it close up somewhat, but not really close up. And from here, you see how beautiful it is. And here are some people who were appreciating it. These 2 pictures were taken on a Sunday day before we went out on our little trip with Jock holding the camera and me exploring. So I happened to be there, and I walked up to this group of women, and I simply asked them what they were doing there. It turns out that 5 of the young women decided to put on white dresses and come out here in contrast to the beautiful crabapple trees to take photographs for their club at Montgomery High School. And I think there were 2 mothers who accompanied them, and they were exploring this glory. And then they sang a song to the crabapple trees, and I believe that it was Japanese, and they told me that they were recording it, but they didn't know what they would do with it. Maybe someday they'll send it to me because they have my email address. But here's Stonebridge with the very beginning front entrance, and we see this sort of rug of lovely flowers. But have you ever looked at one and see what it really does look up close? Jock did. Isn't this beautiful? And you have the majesty of the rug and then the loveliness of this flower.
Okay, go.
So I crossed the road to the major part. The crabapples are roughly 10 on one side and 30 on the other side, and I was lucky to walk through the middle of them, and I've now gone out into the lawn, and what you see on my left-hand side is the beginning of the meadow. And already it's being mowed to protect the meadow and to set off the crabapple trees. And I'm heading toward the 1860 house plantings. Look at those big trees behind us. Some member of the family had a great idea of how to frame that property, and we're lucky. And here's another shot of what the crab apples look like up close, and even closer. But it's amazing how they have their beauty, but the massing of the crab apples is really what takes your breath away. So now I'm walking through, I don't know, I guess partly meadow, to what is a spectacular viburnum bush. Wonderful fragrance. But if you look at the bottom of this large bunch of verbinum, you will see it's actually 12 different plants that have grown together. And it sort of sets off in front of the tall pine trees. And maybe it was planted by the landscape architect here, a sight to be seen as you go into Stonebridge and go along the alley and see the alley again. Now I've made the turn that goes along near the healthcare center, and you will see that the landscape architect planted an alley of pine trees that matches the huge alley on the other side of Ballantyne, and it's all different pine trees, a lovely accent to the area, and again one of those marches of trees. We decided to stop in at the first what we called a nook or a courtyard, because the architect took an entirely different approach. Here it looks like that person walked in and said, let's have a tree here, let's have a tree there. None of this alley stuff. It's much more personal. And Jock went around and took a picture of each of the trees. It's such a variety that you see in the bee courtyard, and a very different approach to creating a landscape for us. It's up close where we live. And some people can even touch things, reaching out their porch or their window. And each courtyard is different, and you can see that it's also designed to have flowering or trees coming out at different times. This is another one. And so it's just a different approach to how you plant and provide beauty for people. It can be very regular, like the alley or the heavy grove, but it also can be very personal. So as we walked around and made our way to another courtyard, you can see here the beginning of white lilacs. As we were losing blossoms in one place, we were getting them in another. And nothing like looking at a lilac up close. And you can come right out of your apartment and take a look at this. And as we say goodbye to springtime and what a landscape architect can contribute, we stopped abruptly here, looking over the Greenway, because things are always changing, and we sort of feel one episode of spring has changed, and now the trees are leafing out, as you see in this view of the Greenway. And there's more to explore. There'll be more plantings over the summer. There'll be wonderful flowers in different places. We'll probably visit the community garden. So let's revisit in late August and see what the landscape architect designed for summer and what other people have taken the initiative to plant and make this a beautiful place. So this comes from me, Ingrid Reed, and Jock McFarland, and we hope we can do this again and that you will join us.